All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Cook, a second by Mr. Owenby to accept the agenda as amended. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. You've all had the minutes from last month's meeting to look over. Did anybody find anything in there that needed to be changed, corrected? If not,
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
come on, somebody. All right, we have a motion by Mrs. McFetridge, a second by Mrs. Cook to accept the minutes as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that brings us to the part of our agenda where we welcome any patrons' comments. If there's any patrons here that would like to have a word with us, now's the time. Just come forward, state your name and where you're from, and just keep it to a minute or two. We'll be happy to hear from you. Is there anybody here that would like to address the board? Since nobody is appearing to get up, we're going to plow forward. Okay. I'm going to pass it off to Dr. Rollins, who is going to introduce our student of the day, of the month.
We just have a room full of great kids this evening, but we're going to begin by asking our representative, our student representative from Springdale HAR-BER High School to come forward, Pablo Manon. Pablo, if you'd come and lead us in the pledge, then I'll introduce you in a more formal way.
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd also like to take a moment of silence in remembrance of the victims and first responders who lost their lives 16 years ago in the 9/11 attacks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pablo, if you'll just stay there, let me introduce you to our audience and certainly to our board. Pablo is a senior at HAR-BER High School. His parents are Andreas and Susie Manon. If you listen to this resume, it's pretty impressive. And again, we're very, very glad to have you here. He's attended Springdale schools for the past 10 years. He attended Hunt Elementary, then Hellstrom Middle School, Central Junior High, and now HAR-BER High. He has taken 9 AP classes, advanced placement classes, prior to his senior year, and this year he's taking 5 additional AP classes. That's doing it the right way, Pablo, without question. His favorite class at HAR-BER has been speech and debate. I see Ms. Cook smiling. That is such a great program. We're all so very proud of this. He's the captain of the mock team trial, and the mock trial team. Yes. So if I'll get that right in a minute, and you'll tell us more about that in just a second. He's also the senior class council president for this year. He's president of the Future Business Leaders Association. He's vice president of the HAR-BER High School National Honor Society, a member of the Student Council, a member of DECA, and a member of the Blue Crew. Pablo's on the HAR-BER swim team. Outside of school, he plays the piano and is a catechism teacher at his church. Pablo will be attending college after his graduation from HAR-BER. His career interests include business, politics, economics, and law. Ladies and gentlemen, with your applause, please welcome Pablo. We would welcome any personal comments you'd like to make, and we'd really like to know how your school year started and so forth.
Well, thank you very much for having me here today. I'm very honored to be the student representative. My school year has been growing on fantastically. It actually started, I believe, at the end of June, because I was part of the committee that worked on planning the first day of school, the back-to-school day celebration, We're trying to make it as exciting as we could for all the student body, and it's been a very exciting and fulfilling summer. I got the ability to go to Boise State at the beginning of the summer, and it was very interesting because I got to meet men from all over Arkansas and got to learn about the different school districts and how they operate, and I realized how blessed I am to be part of the Springdale School District, not only because of the opportunities that are provided inside of class, but because you, as a district, are very generous in the ability that we can get to experience both inside the classroom education and outside the classroom education. I am part of the speech and debate team, and we do get to travel quite a bit. This weekend we were at Kentucky at a debate tournament. I made it to the finals, which was very exciting. But it's always such a blessing to realize how many opportunities are available here at Springdale, because I don't think I would be able to really have such a fulfilling career, academic career, without all of the things that you guys have allowed me to do and provided me. So that's been very exciting. This year I do have quite a lot of advanced classes, but I'm not too worried about it. I think I have a grip on how to handle it. But I am very excited about my future. I still don't know which institution or which college I'm going to attend. I'm applying to a large number of them, but I am very excited for my senior year. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Well, Board, does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask Pablo?
I know you're taking 5 AP courses this year. Can you tell us what they are?
Oh, definitely. I'm taking AP Calculus BC, AP Statistics, AP Language and Composition, AP Government and Politics, AP Comparative Politics, and I'm also going to self-study AP Economics, since that is one of the few classes that isn't available at HAR-BER, but I do wish to also take that course as well.
How do you organize your time to do all of this? I'm just amazed.
I have a very handy agenda that I'm able to plan and schedule everything. It all takes a lot of time management, but I'm able to do a lot. For example, today I just came from the Legacy Junior Bank Board meeting. I got elected the president today.
Wow.
I came from that. After this, we do have mock trial witness tryouts following. So it's just about time management and just being able to make the most out of your time.
So the 30 minutes a week that you have left over, what do you do for fun? I mean, really, what?
I would say I love, I'm part of the Blue Crew, and I love just school spirit and going to as many football games or volleyball games or anything I can do to show my school spirit, and I would say that's pretty fun to me.
With the swim team, what time does your day begin?
My day begins pretty early. Right now we have practices from 7 to 8 in the morning, so I usually wake up somewhere around 6:15 to get ready to arrive to practice, and then I go straight from practice to school and do everything, and usually after school I'm still there at school doing something else, but it's a very long day, but a very fulfilling day.
You said you hadn't decided what school you might want to go to. What courses, have you decided what course of study you're going to?
Yes and no. I kind of narrowed it down, but it's still very, there are a lot of academic interests that I could go into. I'm very interested in, or politics, math and economics and business. Just anything that has to do with either math or interactions with people. I love anything like that.
Wow, impressive.
Are your parents here?
Mom and Dad,
Yes, they're right here.
stand up, wave, say hi. You ought to be very proud of this guy. We wish you all the luck in your senior year. Knock it out of the park.
All right, thank you
You
very
bet.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Very
being here.
proud of you.
He didn't have time for lawn mowing.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Mom and Dad, congratulations. That's just great.
Well, good evening, Board. I don't always get to greet you on these nights, but I'm going to introduce a student to you, and it's going to be a lot of fun to do. First, though, before I do, for those of you who are here, Jackson Braswell is now the Community Relations Director of the United Way. Made quite a jump from our office to that, and so we lost him, and we were very fortunate, after the school year had already started, to hire a young lady. If you ever watch Springdale Today, her name is Amanda Thadanacum, and she's our new Assistant Communications Director, so you're going to see her shooting the pictures tonight and covering the school board meeting. But thank you for being here, Amanda, and you all are going to love her work. She's an excellent photographer and an excellent writer as well. Well, I have the privilege to introduce a young man that I just got finished writing a feature story on, and we just posted it on our Facebook, and it's on our blog, and you're going to enjoy reading it. He's a young man that last year we wrote a story that he had been accepted at the Juilliard School of Music camp in Switzerland, and so now we did a follow-up on what his experience was, and he's going to tell you about that experience in a minute. But first, we're going to watch a video of him playing the piano. You know how he did that at the first? He did that? We've all done that, but it sure doesn't sound like his did it? Okay, this is a 12-year-old young man when he went to Juilliard. He's an 8th grader this year at Central Junior High. This is Brady Billingsley. Brady, come on up.
Hello, I'm Brady Billingsley, and so last January I had the opportunity to send in an audition video of me playing to the Juilliard School of Music, and in hope of being selected to be able to attend their summer music program in Geneva, Switzerland. And so a couple months after I sent in my audition, I found out that I was one of 12 pianists from around the world selected to attend the camp. And then they sent me all my music I needed to have prepared 2 weeks before I left, and I had to have it all learned by the time I got there so that I could play with all these other talented musicians from around the world. And we were able to do lots of different experiences. Like, we had solo music we played, and we also had duets, and we were able to play with other musicians like violinists and clarinetists and all of those people. And we also played as groups with 8-handed music. And our teachers were teachers that currently taught at the Juilliard School who came over to help with the program. And the typical school day started at 6 a.m. and then we ended class at 7 p.m. that night. And that went on for 2 weeks and every day. And we had the weekend off where we were able to go and do things around Switzerland. And then the next day we had to be back at camp.
Wow.
It was just an incredible experience to be able to enhance my piano skills and to be able to play with other people who were really good too, that challenged me and helped me grow as a musician.
Beautiful.
Can I ask, do you have a local piano teacher?
Yes, my piano teacher currently has been my teacher since I started. Her name is Miss Janice Zupo, and she used to teach choir at Helsler Middle School.
So how long have you been doing this, since you could set up? Or?
Yes, I have been taking piano lessons for 8 years.
Wow.
And
Do your parents play?
yes, well, my mom plays, and she took for 12 years, and then my dad also took piano.
Wow. Well, that's incredible. I mean,
Thank you.
I don't know anything about the piano, but I know that was darn good. So that's amazing. So,
Thank you.
so what do you want to do in a perfect life? What would you want to do when you graduate?
Well, my hope is after I graduate high school, I would like to attend Juilliard, of course, and I would like to graduate with a musical composition degree, which would also, it would let me perform, but also write my own music, and I could write not only for piano, but for other instruments as well.
Are you already writing music?
I have, yes, I've written several songs because, well, not only for piano, but for French horn, which I do in band, and oboe, and ukulele and guitar as well.
Wow. So I guess you're going to be in the band as you
Yes.
go. Okay, there you go. You're set. Yeah. Okay.
How
Would
many
you like
hours
to
do you
introduce your
practice every day?
Well, I practice piano as much time as I have, and I practice until my mom says to go get in bed. So, yeah.
That's great.
That's awesome.
That is great.
So your parents here?
My dad is here.
Dad, stand up. Good job. Well, we appreciate you being here, and we
Thank
wish you
you.
all the luck. I mean, sounds like you're right on your way. So look forward to seeing how. I want to be able to say I used to know him. So come back and see us.
Okay.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
Board, we'd like to continue our introduction of great young people this evening. I'm going to ask Dr. Slocum to introduce and give set to our focus sessions in our school board meeting for tonight and really in future meetings.
Yeah, this is actually, if you can take a look at the slide, Dr. Rollins brought forth a model for us to kind of encompass and embody, and he helped us kind of shape our understanding of what that looks like, and it acts as a tenet for all of us, principals in their buildings, us here in central office, and certainly in the classrooms for teachers. And so what I think that you'll find when you look at this, he's created this model that other people are now using and other people are putting into place in other districts, which is exciting. At the same time, it has been our guiding force in terms of what does education need to look like next, and to make sure that we are ready for each of those components, we have to do it in an integral way. And so when Dr. Rollins and I were having a conversation this summer about what would that look like in terms of giving you information to where you have a deeper understanding of what we're doing in classrooms, it was suggested that we look at this model. And so you will have each month one of these components that we will review, and you will have your building leaders that will be coming forward to lead the conversation and give you more information, which will give you hopefully a better understanding of the things that are going on. And so you'll have a school that will be in front of you. Some of our high schools will be in front of you twice. And so it should give you a better understanding of the foundational skills that are happening across our district. And so tonight we're going to be starting with Teach Them All, and we have a leader for each of these presentations for you, and tonight's leader is Ms. Kim Simcoe from Smith Elementary, so I'd like to welcome her.
Thank you, Board. Thank you so much for having us here tonight so that we can share our important work with you. The Staircase to Educational Excellence guides our work every day in every facet of the school community. This evening, we have teachers and administrators from Smith Elementary School, Young Elementary School, Hellstrom Middle School, and Archer Learning Center at Meadow Street, who are going to be sharing the first landing of the staircase with you, Teach Them All. And also the importance of utilizing student voice and personalization to support student academic success. Like Dr. Rollins says, it doesn't matter if a student comes from across the street or across the ocean, we teach them all. We have put index cards there for you to jot down any questions that you might have for us, and we will pick those up at the end of the meeting. So we'll get started with Smith Elementary School.
Good evening, Board. Thank you for having us. I'm Ashley Kirby, and I'm the instructional facilitator at Smith. Language is the foundation for everything we do with our students. We have established a common goal to strengthen our practices in English language development throughout our entire building. One of the ways we have done that is through our partnership with Courtney Bogle, our ESL specialist. She has supported Smith by collaborating with our teachers as they preview and plan the units. She has also helped our teachers preview the assessments at the end of each unit so they have a clear picture of how the language progresses in each unit. We have also blocked off a time where our ELD teachers can collaborate with each other and discuss what is being taught in ELD and how that content can be transferred into other content areas. We want students to be able to apply what they've learned in ELD in other content areas.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Powers, and I teach first grade at T.G. Smith Elementary. One aspect of the ELD curriculum that is so important is student talk. Built into ELD curriculum are routines with the purpose of getting students to talk. The student interaction routines give them the support needed to use language in a structured format. These routines have helped to build confidence in all students, no matter what level they're at. It has changed the way I teach every area, every academic area. It starts with my planning. When I sit down to plan for those students, I keep their language needs in mind all the time. So when I'm planning math, science, or social studies, I build those interaction routines into those days so that my students, it allows them to have a voice and to confidently speak about what they're learning. They can also tell me their needs because they're learning to use those voices through those interaction routines.
Good evening. I'm Natalie Garisco, and I'm from Smith Elementary. I just want to share with you a little bit about my newfound love for ELD. I went to a seminar, a week-long seminar this summer for ELD, and it really opened my eyes about what ELD was really supposed to be about. Last year when I taught it, it was kind of confined within my ELD classroom, and I realized that my students, to be able to benefit from the ELD classes, it needs to carry over into all the other content areas. So when I took it back to my colleagues at school, I said our planning has got to change. Even though even with the teachers that don't teach ELD, I talked to them about the student interaction routines, the sentence frames and all of that, that we could carry over into those classrooms for the students to refer back to. And one of the most important and exciting things that I did at the beginning of my school year this year, I asked my kids, I said, what will make fifth grade a great place to learn? And my students said, more ELD. So you know that that is helping them so much, and so we need to spread that out through all the content areas, not just in the ELD classroom. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Young Elementary.
Greetings from Young Elementary School. I'm Debbie Flora, the principal there. It's our pleasure to continue the conversation about the first step, Teach Them All, by providing an overview of elementary literacy and elementary numeracy. And as teachers teach them all, they weave together both the art of teaching as they consider student voice and social emotional well-being, and the science of teaching as they plan resources, instruction based on standards, and the vision of what children should know and be able to do. Ms. Sullivan will give an overview of our elementary literacy. Mrs. Felton will give an overview of elementary numeracy. She is speaking on behalf of Ms. Tucker, who you'll see in the pictures. Ms. Tucker was called away for a family emergency. Ms. Felton is her teaching partner, and so they're very well versed in the primary aspect. So we'll start with some elementary literacy.
Good evening, I'm Miss Deanie Sullivan. I wanted to share that when I'm thinking about planning instruction for my students, I gather a lot of different resources. I also analyze a lot of incoming data from ACT Aspire and measures of academic progress, the MAP reports. I also, at the beginning of the year, give my students a learning survey, and this helps me get to know more about them, their likes, their dislikes, how they learn, because we know children express their learning needs in different ways, and this helps me listen to their needs and plan for their needs. It also allows me to plan for small group and one-on-one instruction. I conference with my students daily about their reading and writing progress. I will do personal check-ins, and that allows me to help them with their individual needs with whatever skill or strategy we're practicing. It's also a way for me to give them effective and immediate feedback, which is very helpful for them in planning for their goals. I use the information also that I record when I'm meeting with students to plan my next steps and how I'm going to help move them along in their learning. These informal assessments allow students to understand their level of learning so that they can set those goals and make a plan to achieve those goals. I follow the gradual release of responsibility teaching method, so I model the strategy or skill that we're learning together in reading and writing. We practice it together as a group, and then they practice it on their own, and a big part of what comes with that is self-assessments. Periodically, students will self-assess themselves, and that help them take ownership of their learning, and again, help them know where they're going so that they can meet their needs and their goals.
Well, my name is Mrs. Felton. I have the great privilege of being a first grade teacher at Young Elementary. And I'm just going to talk with you a little bit about how we use assessment to differentiate and to better know our students. Our foundational philosophy of Teach Them All is really based on that. We utilize assessments and multiple different tools to get to know our students better. And one of the things that I've learned, some profound things I've learned about kids as an educator, are that we have to use what we know in order to help them learn. So I know that children love to talk. They love to be truly listened to, and they love to show you what they know and what they can do. So when I first start the school year, right away, the first week of the school year, we do assessments, but I really try to approach that as meaningful conversations. I take notes and things like that, and it really sets the tone for assessment throughout the year so that it's not something for them to dread. They oftentimes come to embrace it when we approach it that way. And so we utilize all kinds of things such as student inventories. We do counting collections. Teachers will take anecdotal notes. We do fact fluency assessments, and then I think the most important thing when we think of reflection is to make sure that it's purposeful reflection. And so the only way it can be purposeful is if we're examining that, we're analyzing what we see students doing and what they're learning, and then having those collaborative conversations with our colleagues in order to figure out what best steps come next. But in addition to our colleagues, I think it's so important to have those conversations with our students so that they feel engaged and an ownership in their learning. They really tend to embrace mistakes in my classroom because I've talked to them about how that's one of the best ways that we learn. So engaging them in those conversations and collaborating with the students on their own assessments and what mistakes did we make and what can we learn next is so important to help teach them all. Thank you so much.
Good evening. I'm John McDowell. I'm an assistant principal at Hellstern Middle School. And in my opinion, the one factor that predicates the success of everything that we do here in Springdale Public Schools is the belief that all students can learn. And here at Springdale, when we say all, we mean all. Tonight, to express how we accomplish this in the middle schools and at Hellstern Middle School, we've prepared a handout for you. You'll find on your desk with HERO letterhead. But more importantly than that handout, we've brought some teachers who can share the passion that they engage in as they bring students into learning in reading, mathematics, and in life skills.
Dr. Rollins Board, good evening. I'm Angie Bassett, and I'm one of the special education teachers at Hellstern Middle School. So tonight I want to talk to you, we talked about the Springdale Reads campaign, so a lot of what we do at the middle school level and up is a continuation of what they're doing at the elementary level. In schools we're building a culture for literacy, and what that means is we get to know our children. So meeting with them, much like the elementary school children, just talking with them, letting them express their ideas to us, asking them, what are you reading that's good? Not what I'm reading that's good, but what are you reading that's good? And getting the buy-in from the students is super important. So we build reading lineages with them. So we say, what did your mom read to you that you liked? And they love telling us what they read when they were 5 years old at elementary school. And so that builds our culture for us. In writing, we're using empowering writers. So the middle of empowering writers is power. Giving that power of the writing back to our students and letting them express themselves makes them really excited about writing in all areas, not just in reading and writing. As you can see here, we also talk about literacy intervention, and literacy intervention is more than just special education or English language learners. We have a lot of students who do not qualify for any services beyond those two pieces. So empowering those children to get some intervention to help them learn as well. And literacy extension, sometimes we forget those children who go well beyond what we do in the classroom. So getting those College Board teachers in with those students and extending them even more than they thought were even possible. So that's kind of what we do from the middle school and above.
Thank you, Angie.
Good evening. I'm Rhett Barrett. I teach 7th grade science at Hellstrom Middle School, and I also lead the Electric Go-Kart Club. Tonight I'm going to tell you a little bit about what our middle schools are doing to teach them all in mathematics. In order to teach them all in mathematics, Springdale Middle Schools are using multiple math enrichment programs to enhance learning and improve performance for all students in mathematics. Through STEM programs like EAST, robotics, coding, and electric vehicles, we focus on making mathematics relevant to all students by engaging them in real-world problem solving about topics and content that interest them. EAST, robotics, coding, and electric vehicles encourage all students to work collaboratively and effectively to use modern technology in a variety of ways and to use that to engineer unique solutions to math problems that are accessible and challenging to all students with a variety of giftedness. These STEM programs are constantly changing and improving to better meet the needs of all students by listening to and responding to students' voices through new programs like Girls Who Code. Our middle schools are also working during our advisory periods to create fun, challenging, and personalized learning experiences for both mathematically gifted and mathematically struggling students, and all students in between. Through these varied math enrichment programs, the middle schools in Springdale are responding to our students' voices to better meet their needs by enhancing and improving the mathematical learning of all students.
Good evening. I'm April Wood. I teach 6th grade math at Hellstern Middle School.
I'm Natalie Sneed. I teach English at Hellstern Middle School, 7th grade.
In Springdale Public Schools, one way we teach them all at Hellstern is through our after-school tutoring program, where we consistently serve 40-plus at-risk students 2 days a week. This program, called Heroes in Action, was named by the students. We have connected college students from NWAC to help mentor, and last year our program resulted in an average growth of 10 points on MAP testing, which is 1.5 years growth for our students. In fact, it was so effective, students ask us every day when we will start our tutoring program back up.
I think my favorite part of the program is that each semester we took a trip to a college campus. So last fall we went to NWAC and we actually took them, there's a picture of us taking them to Chick-fil-A. The manager was so impressed with their behavior and their manners, they gave them all free ice cream. So like 40 free ice cream cones, they were so excited. And then we went to the University of Arkansas in the spring. It was really cool. It did cast a vision. They were talking about what kind of jobs they wanted to do when they were older, what colleges they would be a part of. We toured the Razorback new training facility for the basketball team, and there were some U of A players that came and shot hoops with them for a while. And I think it just showed our students that we really believe in them and that we care for them, and it helped us build relationships with them too. So.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Shauna Lyons, principal of Archer Learning Center. And you guys already know our vision, which is to create the most effective ALE in the state by helping students become valuable contributors to their community and thrive in post-secondary community and/or career pursuits. Education and/or career pursuits, sorry. But I don't know if I've ever shared the mission. So the Meadow Street mission, which is 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, our mission is to provide a personalized education that emphasizes the college and career readiness in support of lifelong learning. So in order to fulfill that mission at Archer Learning Center, we utilize a variety of teaching strategies, just like you've heard tonight, but we also use 7 different approaches. And I didn't know if you're familiar with the approaches, so I brought a representative from each of those approaches just to give you a snippet of how we're meeting that mission at Archer Learning Center.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Brown, and I'm here representing Archer Day School, where we have a student-to-teacher ratio of 1 to 15. We try to engage students in real-world problem-solving approaches, hands-on. We run daily from 8:50 to 3:45 with our built-in advisory program, and I think that the relationships we're able to build are invaluable, especially for our student body.
I'm David Simpson. I run the night school program, the Archer Night School. We basically try to catch kids up on their credits. It runs every Monday through Thursday night, 4 to 6:30 p.m. We're going to start running some buses to haul some kids around and also provide some lunch for them, so that'll be a good thing. I also work with the credit recovery during the day, and what we try to do is get everybody caught up. We also try to help Springdale and HAR-BER at different times. Their students also get caught up on credit so they can get graduated as well.
Hi, my name is Alex Cox, and I'm the Meadow Positive Intervention, or MPIC teacher. We work with students at a Tier 4 level, which is in lieu of expulsion. It's the Tier 4 in the response intervention setting. We work also with our agencies in the community such as Youth Bridge and TDT, along with the court system, best so we can teach like our kids with academic success.
Good evening. My name is Alonzo Terrell, and I oversee the virtual program at Archer. We provide virtual teaching through a blended model where students can schedule one-on-one instructional time, and then throughout the week, they're working from home. So, thank you.
I'm Kelsey Erster, and I'm a special education teacher at Archer. We provide modified schedules for the students, so they're at school at a shorter amount of time, and that's based on the student's 504 or their individualized education plan.
Good evening. I'm Ashley Glass Brown, and I'm a CTE teacher at Archer Learning Center. CTE offers JAG, which is Jobs for Arkansas Graduates, and that allows our students to work while also completing courses.
Good evening. My name is Aaron French. I'm the school counselor at Archer. Excuse my voice. I work closely with Northwest Technical Institute to provide juniors and seniors with high school credit while also attaining their technical training certification as well.
Okay, as you can see, it all has to do, it's just really cool to listen how this all goes together. 4 different schools, you hear the same message. It's relationships, relationships, relationships. The learning to come for our students can only happen because of the foundation that our teachers are initiating, and they're initiating that relationship with each child, not just one child, 2 children in the classroom, it's all children in their classroom. Our kids don't care how much we know unless they know that we care. Tonight, you've had the opportunity to hear and see how much our teachers care about teaching and each child. This is happening throughout the district. This is a picture of Springdale, and we're blessed to be in Springdale. In Springdale School District, we teach them all, and all means all. Thank you.
I wouldn't normally do this, but just a point of privilege. Those of you who are part of this special focus session, would you please stand? Teachers, would you do that with me? So if we were in a teachers meeting, I would say write this down, wouldn't I? I really wish you would write this down, because the message that has been brought to us in a wonderful way, I think, is this. John Hattie is one of the nation's greatest and most well-known educational researchers. And he would tell us all, just as these staff members have told us all this evening, if you can create a culture where the teachers believe that all children can learn, and very importantly, where the students believe that they can learn the standards of the day, that's the most effective thing we can do in our work today. So to me, these presenters this evening brought that message home resoundingly to us. Creating a culture where children believe they can learn, where they can believe they can learn at the highest level. Thank y'all for making that message so vividly brought to us this evening. Thank you very much. Teachers, thank you. Great job.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for coming.
Focus on the teach. Isn't that it? Focus on the teach. Teach them all. Okay, board, we're on item D on the agenda. I'd like to ask Dr. Smith to come forward to continue the recognition of our great kids and teachers and programs. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Rollins, members of the board. At this time, if I could have Sojas Wagle please come forward.
Again?
So I'd like to give you a little bit of background about the International Brain Bee, and I know I probably can't do it justice, so just might have to help clarify, but there are currently 175 local chapters brain being coordinators in more than 50 countries across 6 continents that conduct these competitions annually. The winner of each local chapter is then gone to the regional competition and then go to the international competition. This year, the event was held in Washington, D.C. It's always done somewhere else, but this year it was in Washington, D.C. And I am so pleased to state that Soja Swagel is the 19th Annual International Brain Bee winner. And I would like for him to share a little bit about the events.
First of all, thank you for having me here today. And well, the Brain Bee championship was like very different for me because through all the competitions I've done, they're usually at like a state or national level. But this time this was at an international level, so it was a great experience to actually see people from all over the world this time, from places in Europe to like the Middle East. It was amazing to see like how even though they came from all these different places and cultures, they still had this passion for neuroscience. And so it was not only great to like compete with such brilliant minds, but also to get to meet them. And I still keep in touch with them today because like really interesting kids who like are all going to be really great in the future and go into careers that are going to further our knowledge of neuroscience. And well, the competition was actually really extensive. So it went over like 2 days. And so there are 6 sections. And then 2 of the sections are Q&As, are pretty much just out loud questions. Then the 3rd section is a written test. And then the last 3 are more hands-on. There's like neurohistology, which is microscopic sections of the brain. And then anatomy, which is actual real brains that you have to like identify different parts of. And then you have patient diagnosis, which is like the part that is most exciting, but also like probably the scariest because they actually have patient actors. And then you have to actually diagnose them, ask them questions, and take tests. And then you have to give them a diagnosis at the end.
Wow. So how many kids were at this competition that you won?
There were 25 kids from 25 countries.
Wow. I think you're going to set a record for how many times you're going to come visit us. So, what are you a junior this year?
Yes.
So we've still got another year and a half of getting to see what you're going to do. What's next?
Well, this year I'm focusing a lot on debate and mock trial student congress. So kind of like the other side of me. There's one that's science, but this year I'm thinking maybe just go into more of the debate part of it. And also I'm going to continue with orchestra and just go get into as many clubs and things at school that I can get involved with.
What's your instrument?
Violin.
Violin. Oh, you need to come and play for us sometime. Are you taking some AP classes, or what are your courses like this year?
Yes, so I'll be taking 5 APs this year, and then it's AP US History, AP Literature, AP Chemistry, AP Statistics, and then AP Spanish.
And we're challenging you enough.
Yes.
Are we? Good.
Yes, they're actually really great teachers, really great coursework, and it's challenging with a lot of the course load, but like it's really interesting because it's really well taught and it's just really easy to absorb because of that.
Good.
In the literature, what are you reading?
Oh, like for leisure?
No, for the AP literature, what are you reading?
Oh, okay. Well, we haven't actually started with books yet. We're still like focusing on the essays because for AP literature, they give you just like impromptu reading of like poetry and prose, and then you just have to like analyze that. And so later on, I think in the year, we'll have to go into books.
God, I'm glad I'm not in school anymore. That's awesome.
I'm very proud of you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
And your mom and dad are here?
Yes,
Yep.
my dad is.
See Dad. Continued success.
We're not going to let you graduate, you know that. We're going to keep you here. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Uh-oh, you're in trouble now.
I had Sojas last year, and I know a lot of teachers could probably speak up for him too, but I wanted just to mention a couple of things. Number one, he's also working with our daily announcements over at HAR-BER, if I'm not mistaken, talking about how to make science fun, showing how science is in our everyday work through concussions, through the eclipse that we just had, and he also creates it in a Spanish version too for our Spanish readers. But one thing that I wanted to mention that I kept seeing throughout the last several months that I've known Sojus is that quiet moment when no one's watching. Happy kid, helping others, constantly reaching out. Currently, he's reaching out to me, wanting to help people that are getting ready to take the PSAT so that they can better themselves and work on those community service moments. And this is what we have in our Springdale Public Schools walking around. What we had earlier with Pablo, again, in those quiet moments, that happiness, that willingness to seek others. It's everywhere if we'll look. And here's another example of it, which starts at the home. And I'm just so very proud to have him in my class or have him in my life. So just wait.
So I just want to remind him that coming up soon is the PSAT, so I'm sure he'll be all ready for that. I'm sure he'll be one of our national merit scholars. At this time, if I could have Jeremy Ford come down, please. He's going to share some great things with you, but one of the things that I would like to share with you is when great recognition happens at a high school level, there's a lot of foundation that's normally laid prior to that event. And I received the nicest email that was sent out to his colleagues stating that the recognition that he's going to share with you right now did not come from what he did, but was for the foundation that was laid by a lot of other individuals. And so that speaks a lot about the character of somebody when they can really give up a lot of the accolades to other people. So I'll let you share.
Hi, everyone. In March, for the last just a couple of years, bands are encouraged to send in the best examples of their concert band performances to an independent, outside of the state, anonymous evaluator. This is something that did not exist in my career. Competition in instrumental music in Arkansas has been kind of a four-letter word for quite some time, and one of the things I'm trying to do in the state organization is bring some change to that. It can be healthy. We need to get our kids ready to compete for jobs and for scholarships. We now have a state marching contest. Hopefully, right down the road, we'll have a state concert contest as well. That's really the goal. But anyway, our choirs have been singing at All-State. The best example of a high school choir has been singing at All-State for years and years, and the bands have not done that. But we got that changed a couple of years ago, and so this March we were able to send in our recording of the Lincolnshire Posy, which is college professional level literature, and Sousa's Fairest of the Fair March. And we were selected as the best concert band in the state of Arkansas for this year. And as a result, we'll get to perform at the All-State Convention in February, a little bit sooner than we're used to being really good, so we'll have to change some schedules around. And I wanted to tell you that Miss Pat Ellison, if you don't know who that is, just raise your hand and I'll help. She is willing. She's just finished hip surgery, but she is willing and able, and will be conducting on that concert as a guest conductor as well. So I'm really excited about that. So I just wanted to compliment the students. What Dr. Rollins said earlier, I inherited a culture of excellence in instrumental music here in Springdale when I came to town, and have been trying to cultivate that. And I want to say, our band directors, from Brian, Mr. Billingsley earlier, his seventh grade band director at Hellstrom is just outstanding, and has really nurtured him, and we've got so many people on the team that have put us in this position, to be able to do that. So I want to compliment them as well.
Great job.
Thanks for being here.
Where is the concert going to be in February?
Hot Springs, our All-State Convention is in Hot Springs right around Valentine's Day. So nice and cold, but
Pray for good weather.
we can go south, but we'll have several All-Staters there anyway. But the entire wind ensemble will come down and stay one night and do the concert. The idea is really about education. The band directors across the state can come and listen to the finest example of what high schoolers are capable of in their classification. So there's also going to be a concert by the best 3A band in the state, and the audience will be largely band directors. Some of the All-State musicians will be there, of course, but the band directors in the state will come to listen. So.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 3, if I could have Preston McAllister come forward, please. I want to give you a little background about Duke TIP. We talk a lot about Duke TIP, but the TIP actually stands for Talent Identification Program, where they identify students. And the goal of Duke TIP is to work with students, families, educators to identify, recognize, challenge, engage, and support the gifted youth and to help them reach their highest potential. There are a lot of different programs that are recognized worldwide. In Springdale, we encourage students that are in 7th grade to participate in Talent Search. And the way a student gets identified is through their state assessment. In our case, it's the ACT Aspire. So you can look at students in 5th grade or in 6th grade and use those scores to identify them in the Talent Search. Now, what happens when they do that is they get identified as the ability to go take the ACT. So you can imagine these students in 7th grade now with all the other high school students taking the ACT. Once those results come out, then students are recognized. They can either be recognized at a state level or a grand level. Preston was a student last year at Hellstern Middle School, and this year he is a student at Central Junior High. And I would like to, and I've gotten his permission to do this, but I would like to tell you about his scores. So as a 7th grade student last year, his ACT composite score was a 27. He earned a 21 in math, a 29 in science, a 26 in English, and drum roll, he scored a 31 in reading. Wow. You have to score high in one subcategory. He did it in almost all of those. Because of this, he was recognized at a number of different places, which I'm going to have him share with you. But what a phenomenal young man. I can't even imagine what his future holds for him, but this is just one of the things that Duke TIP opens up, and he's going to share some of those opportunities.
Hello, thank you for having me here tonight. So after taking the ACT, I was recognized at the state ceremony with many other students from my school, which at the time was Hellstern Middle School, and later that year in the national recognition ceremony. And it was a very good experience for me getting to travel around going to those ceremonies. And then my favorite of the opportunities that I got to have as a result of my ACT scores was this past summer I got to go to the Macaulay School Character, Leadership, and Community Camp, a 2-week camp in Chattanooga, Tennessee, with 24 other guys my age who had gotten similar scores on the ACT and were very active at their schools. And at the camp we went and did a lot of community service projects, had many motivational speakers come and talk. It was a amazing experience. Definitely learned a lot about just kind of how to be a leader in my community and how to work well with other people.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know it's really early in your career, but have you given it any thought as to what you might want to do as you get older?
Something I've always been interested in is physical science, chemistry, physics, all of that. And so I'm very excited because at Central they offer pre-AP physical science, which I am currently enrolled in. And so that's been one of my favorite classes this year.
It's a good thing to be interested in. Board, is there anybody else that has any questions? Well, we appreciate you being here, and heck, if you got a 27 already, there's no telling what you're going to end up with. So just keep working at it, and look forward to seeing you back many times again, like soldiers. So thanks for being here. Is your parents here?
Yes, both my parents are here, and my siblings.
Mom, Dad, where you at? Okay. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
We have a lot of talent, a lot of talent. One of the things we're going to talk about now is our AP teachers that are above the global mean. And we talk about AP a lot, but if you really think about the A and the P, we're talking about advanced programs. And when we talk about advanced programs, we offer quite a few in our district. In fact, I think we offer the most in any other district in our region. AP programs are recognized by universities around the world as a standard of academic excellence. And many colleges and universities in the United States, Canada, and over 100 other countries grant credit for advanced placement. Students, in many cases, if they have a 3, 4, or 5, can earn credit. And as we all know, that universities and different colleges accept different scores, so we know it's very important that parents and students reach out to those colleges to figure out what will count for a class. Last year, we had 979 scores of 3, 4, or 5 in our district exams that were given. So that's phenomenal, phenomenal. This doesn't happen without the hard work of the teachers that are involved in these AP classes. So at this time, I would like to recognize some of these teachers. So they are being recognized for exceeding the global mean. And to put this in perspective, you have your state mean, you have your national mean, and then at the highest, it's our global mean. So we're getting ready to recognize 14 teachers in our district for being above the global mean. So at this time, as I call their name, if they could please come forward and just line up in the front. I'm going to, and you should have this in your handout as one of your artifacts, but I am going to recognize the school and the teacher in their content area, and if they could come forward. Please note that 1 or 2 of them could not make it because they were in practice or they have actually retired. So first of all, we have from Southwest Junior High for AP Human Geography was Mr. Benson. He is retired. From HAR-BER High School, English, AP English, is William Combs. If you could come forward, please. From HAR-BER High School, for AP Calculus AB, we have Travis Fink. And I think you might remember Travis here. He's a new daddy. I just need to remind everybody of that. From HAR-BER High School, we have AP World History, Mr. Fontenopoulos. Miss Graham is from HAR-BER High School, and she's actually teaching 2 courses that both were above the global mean. That is AP Studio Art 2D and AP Studio Art Drawing. Miss Graham? From the School of Innovation, we have Miss Hendrickson for AP US History. We can spread out a little bit more too if you want. From HAR-BER High School for AP Statistics, we have Daryl Irvin. George Junior High School for AP Human Geography, we have Miss McDonald. For HAR-BER High School for AP English Language, Miss Moore. Miss Kristen Novotny, she's actually being recognized for 2. That is for AP Spanish Language and for AP Spanish Literature from Springdale High School. Miss Rainey from HAR-BER High School, she's being recognized for AP Spanish Language. Miss Reed from SHS for AP US Government. John Stewart from HAR-BER High School for USAP History. And Greg Simpson, he is not able to be here today. He is at practice, but HAR-BER High School for AP Physics. Now, one additional thing that I would like to add is, as you know, these are above the global mean. There were 2 individuals in this group that actually scored not only above the global mean, but a half a point higher. So that would be like, at a 5-point scale, that's quite large. And I'd like to recognize Mr. John Stewart for that, and also Mr. Benson, who is not here tonight. So very, very great. Are any of you willing to take a chance, step forward, and share just how you do it? I mean, it's not just getting the kids to pass, but it's exceeding the global mean. This is 5 more than we had last year. So it's, yes, phenomenal.
My
Anybody?
trick is to get, the students like Pablo and so.
Makes it easier, doesn't it?
It's easier that way if you get those. The trick, I don't know what you guys do. But you have to keep kids like that challenged on a daily basis, and that can be a tad intimidating. But it's fun. A whole lot of fun.
To be in your classroom last week was just really exciting to see you work with the students, and wasn't it your room? No? No? Oh, I'm sorry, I got you confused. But anyways, I'm sure you do great.
We were watching you, you didn't know it.
Yeah, you didn't know.
Meant to tell you about that.
Sorry.
Well, again, if you'll help me recognize them for their
Good
work.
job.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Thanks for
appreciate
being here this evening.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
I don't know. We were at Central.
Before we go on to the next one, I want to make sure I didn't leave anybody out of that AP list. Okay, just want to make sure. So the next item, I can't even tell you how excited I am. On August 31st, Miss Anderson and I went down to the Capitol. And Miss Anderson, would you stand up just for a second? Miss Anderson is the principal at Helen Tyson Middle School, and she recommended the individual I'm getting ready to talk about, and that recommendation has put us in the position we're in right now. So I just wanted to give her special recognition for that. So thank you. Miss Brittany Berry, if you could please come forward. So Miss Anderson and I made the trip down to Little Rock to the Capitol, and our goal was to be there to support Miss Berry as she was being recognized as one of 14 regional Teacher of the Years. And so we were so excited, and she presented herself very well in front of the governor and the commissioner. But a little added bonus was at that meeting, they went ahead and announced the semifinalist. And so at that time, she was announced as a semifinalist for the state of Arkansas.
One of four?
One of four, yes. So the interesting thing was they called them up and say, this is the great things that are going to happen in the next few weeks. And by the way, we're going to be at your school like in 3 days, and we'll be observing your classroom, interviewing, and just doing a whole bunch of stuff. So she immediately got back and because, permission slips and so forth. So it's been quite a moving ahead process, right? I think the announcement will come in November, but I would like for her to share a little bit about that process. I was not with her when they came in and observed her, but I would like to have her share that. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, so on the 30th, when they announced the 4 state semifinalists and met with us after, I was in a little moment of shock. So when they were like, on the, I think it was the 5th, 6th, 11th, or 12th, and I just was kind of in another place, and everyone called it, and so I got not it. So they came really early last week, so we just had a couple days to prepare, but it was probably better anyways, because I think the sooner in the year that they get into the classroom and kind of see how the kids are preparing for the year, the more exciting the experience is. So we had the opportunity to host several members from different Department of Ed last Wednesday. They spent an hour interviewing me, close to an hour interviewing Mrs. Anderson, and they observed a full class and a partial class of my selection. So I selected a class primarily made up of 6th grade new East students because we were doing a brainstorming activity, and I find their thoughts untainted, exciting and interesting because they don't have any preconceptions or notions as to what is possible. So it's really enjoyable to see in the right circumstances what they come up with, because they dream and they think big, and that's how you end up with big change. So it really was enjoyable.
experience, only one of the members from that had attended had ever been in an East class, which is really exciting because the Arkansas Department of Ed is such a huge funding source for the East program across the state. So I hope that not only does it maybe end up in my selection, but more than anything that they had a positive experience, that they kind of understand the program, the asset that it is to the kids, and they can go back to the Arkansas Department of Ed and speak very highly of it and hopefully further the number of programs that are available in the state of Arkansas. So hopefully we served as a great representative that got them excited about the program. And I got to spend a lot of time just visiting about the supportive nature of East and Springdale and East at Helen Tyson and the role that it allows us to, when we talk about all means all, I think heavily about stakeholders, who are the stakeholders in educating our children. And I think often, sometimes it gets missed in the discussion that one of the biggest stakeholders are children. And that within a school, such immense possibilities and abilities to interact and support themselves, but also each other. So it was really exciting to talk about how when they put an East program into any school, the ability for those students to pay those gifts forward monetarily and in human capital, to run mentorships programs in their school, to build school gardens, to serve as mentors in classes, and so many more other possibilities. So it was really a great opportunity to discuss that as we talk about ESSA and the RISE program and Read Springdale and all of those things, that some of our best ideas and our best workers and our best teachers are our kids. So hopefully they left just really excited about the program. So we'll see how the results turn out. It could be anywhere from next week to who knows when. It's at the discretion of the governor's schedule. So we'll see what happens for me, but I hope it shed a great light on Springdale and on East in general.
Great. I look forward to hearing what the results are. I'm sure that
Yeah.
you'll let us know as soon as you find out.
We will, and it's just been just exciting in general. They got to hear a lot of great ideas. This is the best time of the year for my job. The kids are catching on, and they witnessed bubbles bursting for kids when they realize that the possibilities really are endless. They come forth and they say, I want to do something about hunger because once I was hungry, and they like, let's do a canned food drive. And then you're like, we can do more, let's do more, we can do more, we can do bigger. And I think it's just a really great opportunity. They got to see the kids leave feeling like really empowered members of our community.
We know the best is yet to come, but let me invite everybody in the audience to please stand and give her a standing ovation. Could you do that? Ms. Berry, I want to share one other, just an. Today was the State Board of Directors meeting for East Environmental and Spatial Technology. I got to share this information with them. That was the second standing ovation you got today. Great job. Great job.
Good luck.
One last thing I want to follow up. So I go down there and we're sitting there, and all of a sudden she's got a following. Like the East group kind of came down and were there to support her. So it wasn't just me and Miss Anderson. It was a group of people down there supporting her. So she's thought of very highly across the state.
Okay. We're on item E on the agenda. Ms. Simcoe, thank you. Teachers, thank you so much. Mr. Rollins, if you would, give us an update on career and technical.
I'll be glad to. It's always an honor for me to get to talk about the work of our teachers and our students, but before I do that, if I can, I want to try and go right back to our focus session for tonight. The message was teach them all. So the tie-in that I have is sometimes teaching them all also means creating the right opportunities for our kids to learn the right content, to take the right classes, to be exposed to the right areas so that they can take that next step. So I kind of get to wear both hats tonight. For just a minute, I want to be the principal at SOI, and then I'll go back to being CTE director. But we've had several groups who've had an opportunity to come walk through the school who have met with our kids, and they're learning about the waivers that we have in place and the opportunities that creates for our students down the road. We had a group that came through that understood, even though we're really working to try and break down some of those barriers for our students, they understood that some of our kids still didn't have the opportunity to take full advantage of it. So without taking anybody else's story, I'd like to introduce to you, if you'll give me the latitude to come around in my section. I'd like to introduce Mandy James and Brad, and they're here to represent the Arconic Foundation. They've been working with the School of Innovation to try and develop an opportunity. And if you can, I'd like to invite both of you to join us in just a minute. But Brad, if you would, or Mandy, if you would, I'd love for you to get to kind of share with them the work that's been going on.
I'm Mandy James. I'm the HR manager at Conair, an Arconic company. So the Arconic Foundation is, we donate to schools and nonprofits. We have actually 2 grants that went to Springdale District this year. What Mr. Rollins was talking about was we're both on the Workforce Council with the Chamber of Commerce, and although I've been to SOI a whole bunch of times, when we were going through this tour, he introduced me to a kid that really wanted to take advanced manufacturing classes but couldn't afford it. And I hadn't really thought about that because my own kids are at SOI as well and have been since the very beginning. And at the end of this semester, my daughter, who's 16, will have 4 credits, which is amazing and wouldn't be possible without the work of this man and his entire team, or my ability to pay for that. At $169 a class, I think that's really cheap. I went to college, I'm like, that's amazing. But what I didn't think about was how many kids that are there who, even though that opportunity is there, there's still that barrier of, are they going to eat, or are they going to put their kid in a class that they don't actually have to have now, but would be phenomenal if they could. So what we wanted to do at Arconic was remove that barrier for them. And so we, Dr. Rollins, or did you get your? Almost? Mr. Rollins and I worked through all the details this last school year in the summertime, and got a $20,000 grant to pay for any of the STEM-focused and advanced manufacturing classes that these kids want to take. So
That is beautiful.
that's our
Great job.
It was not a very hard sell to the foundation. Their vision, their whole focus is STEM education, so it went over pretty easy with them.
There's another partnership that we're going to talk about.
Ready?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I'll just say, on behalf of Arconic, we thank y'all for everything y'all do for the kids. The programs you guys are putting in place, Clary and the group, are just awesome. It's nice to get manufacturing out of the bad rap that manufacturing's had for years and years and years, and to start showing some kids and young people the growth opportunities and the career opportunities in our manufacturing. I'm the operations manager, so I have the whole shop under my span. So just the skills they learn every day in the engineering classes or the technical classes teach them what they need to know as they learn and grow through their careers. And it's awesome to see them come in, do tours, ask questions that stump us from time to time. I mean, we had a kid, I think it was the year before last, and her question was, so what happens when you miss your targets, and how does your leadership respond when you miss your targets? And we're all standing up there going, how are we going to answer this? But that just shows you the kids that you guys have and the opportunities that y'all give them, and the ability that that builds on for them to take on into their careers, whatever they choose to do. So thank y'all.
Take just a minute, and one more time, tell us how the funds will be used, what you hope will happen with that. Go ahead, Mandy, repeat that. Just let us absorb that.
So any of the kids who want to take advanced manufacturing through NTI, or really any class, but really STEM-focused classes at NWAC, the grant will pay 100% of their class.
Wow.
So that barrier for them should be eliminated, and it's it's pretty exciting, so.
That's very exciting. Wonderful. Thank you both so much. Claire, thank you for helping build this bridge.
And then we can also talk, as if one partnership weren't strong enough, then we can also have their partnering with engineering and architecture and robotics and Springdale High also. But please.
Yeah. The other project that we have with SOI is on their FAR-BER project, which also came out of that same tour. And if you haven't seen it, it's pretty amazing. But I was really intrigued, and the kids were showing me how it worked, and they needed some help with some troubleshooting. Well, Conair is full of engineers like Brad, who just do this stuff for a living, and love it. And so I got a group of engineers to go over there, and they sat with the kids and did, a whole bunch of troubleshooting, and they had just tons of ideas to go through, and it was really great. But we've entered them into a contest for $10,000 grant to go toward paying for like their wish list of stuff to do with their farm bot. So we'll know next month.
Let me also invite Ms. Springdale. I have the opportunity. She's on our agenda down the list, but it's tied so closely together. I wanted to bring them all together.
Let's see, our school community is comprised of students underrepresented in STEM fields. Through Conair grants, we've been able to give our students targeted information, advocacy, and support in order to become aware of STEM fields available and let them see that they can succeed in these areas. Conair is made possible through these grants, girl camps, STEM days, robotics support, math initiatives, mentoring, as well as tutoring at SHS. Most recently, Conair has begun an internship program with our Engineering and Architecture Academy. Students prepare by taking specific advanced manufacturing classes at SHS and then work the summer with Conair. They hope to continue to work through their college careers and to be hired when they graduate. All this has enhanced our students' education and better prepared them for college and for STEM careers in the future. Mandy, Brad, and Brian Lehman, who is not here, have been working with us for about 5 years for these kind of programs. And it's really made a difference at Springdale High and our Engineering Academy.
Beautiful.
We're partners. Thank you, really, to both of them. As we worked through this, I was honored that they wanted to continue that conversation, but the truth is, it's those kind of partnerships that I think can really open the door to have more of these conversations within our community. So that's an amazing support for our school. So again, thank you to both of them. If I can now, I'd kind of like to turn the page. I'd like to please ask Mr. Burkett and your members of your FFA leadership, please come join me. We had a chance to go see some of the exhibits at the fair last week, but I think we have more to talk about now, right?
Absolutely.
Please, sir.
Come on down. Come on down. Introduce my students here tonight. A couple have some remarks. This is Josie, Taylor, Greg, and Omar. We always appreciate the opportunity to come before you board. And we just finished up the Washington County Fair last week. We had a lot of students participate. We actually set records for our school district, and we had more students actually exhibit than any other high school in our county. So very proud. We had 89 students, 191 projects, multiple grand champion entries, multiple first, second, and third place awards. Very proud. What I'm most proud of is we actually had to take 2 bus loads. We've actually transitioned. Our students in the past would come to the fair and spend time with their animals, with their parents, but many of our students have non-traditional fair projects. So we exhibit celebrations of life through native crafts, arts, handmade objects, things we do in school, whether it be mechanics projects, things of that nature, canning items. Literally, if it's handmade by our students in an authentic setting, they're able to enter it in a fair. And we had to bring 2 bus loads down because all the kids had actually entered. And it was a very special experience. Dr. Rollins came down with some of the administrative team. And I always want to comment on that, and I do every year. Dr. Rollins really set the bar for superintendents in Washington County. I get folks day in and day out. Other ag teachers I had you know, without naming names, they come to me and it's truly amazing that the superintendent of such a large school district takes the time to not just come down for 15 minutes. He's there for 3 hours. He sees every kid from every one of our schools, even elementary teachers and elementary students. He tours every project. He visits with kids, and they get to tell their story, and it means so much and really validates what we're trying to do. And Dr. Rollins, I really appreciate that. You know,
It means the world.
let's
to
give
me,
him a
too.
round of applause. Really. We just don't see that, you know. Folks are busy, and all the things going on. He really takes the time to, you know, provide that authentic feedback. Very proud of our kids, though. You know, that's something that we could stand still and say, hey, we don't have a place to put animals, or we could change and get kids involved, and I'm so proud of that. If you get a chance, go to our Springdale High School Agricultural Academy FFA webpage, and you'll see a picture of all those kids in front of the poultry barn. Additionally, I want to let Greg talk with you in just a second, but I did get an update. We actually are a facilitation site, and they're bringing the state officers to Springdale High School this summer. It's the first time that's ever happened at the state FFA level. We have a new director, and so he's forward-thinking. And Mr. Jinks attended the state convention with me this past summer, and we just asked him, we said, listen, we have students that are unable to go away from home for various reasons, cultural reasons, you know, have to stay to work. What can we do to bring this experience to us or to them? And he said, well, why can't we just come to Springdale? So that would be great. You know, I visited about it earlier this year, so that's come to pass, and so we'll have that at Springdale High School. And we've actually extended that. I've actually invited our ESL students and our Islander Club, our various other organizations to actually participate in that. We want to, essentially my idea would be to let's pack the Performing Arts Center. Let's have a big deal. Let's get our entire school involved and let them see what Springdale looks like, and let our students experience opportunities in agricultural leadership at the state level. So very proud of that. Additionally, we did pretty good work this last year. Our kids did. We were recognized as a 7A sweepstakes winner for FFA in agriculture. Very proud of these kids. You know, if you look at all the other 7As in the schools in the state, and there's not many with agriculture programs, you would be surprised that there's literally a handful of 7A schools that actually have agricultural programs. A lot of these students have changed to various other programs, and Dr. Rollins has always been a supporter of agriculture, but we're competing at the highest level. Our students are involved. We don't look like other people, but guess what? We're still leading the charge. We'll give Greg the opportunity. He wants to address you recently about our sweepstakes, and then we want to field any questions. But before I close, thank you guys so much. You really don't know how much it means to me to help these kids, and how much it means to so many of these kids. They come to us from so many walks of life, and it's just an opportunity for them to participate. Thank you.
I'm Greg Hernandez, or Gregorio Hernandez is my full name, and I'm a junior at Springdale High School currently. And I'm a member of the Agriculture Academy, and I'm here this evening to talk about the recent award of the 7A sweepstakes, as Mr. Burkett mentioned. Sweepstakes award is a pure and raw measurement of performance across our program, and is measured in the following criteria, which is program achievement in both competition and in the classroom, and awards and honors received throughout the school year. These achievements of Springdale FFA is not by accident. Springdale Agriculture and Springdale High School students have a purpose. At Springdale, we have come together as the largest and only non-traditional 7A agriculture department in the state as winners of the people. Our program is built upon one principle. We love people, and we love people no matter who they are, what they've done, or what they will do. So, essentially, we literally will love anyone no matter what they do or have done. All of our success is due to simply loving one another and working to better ourselves for the future. This simple action has led us to set the stage for a new era in agriculture. We are leaders in our state and also in the nation, and we are the leaders of tomorrow, and our message is simple. As long as you love others, be honest, and do what is right, everything will work out. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Greg.
Question? Thank you guys so much. If you ever get an opportunity to come by the fair, though, or come by the school, we're doing things every day. We poured some sidewalks today in ag mechanics class. We mixed concrete, poured and finished. We're pouring some more tomorrow. Just come by and see what we're doing. We're cooking potatoes, food science on unit processes. We're planting ferns. Come by and see us work. The kids would love to see you.
Thank you.
So-
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
If I can, I'd like to make one more recognition. We had a really special event happen this past week. I'd like to ask Travis Sherman to come join me, television production instructor at HAR-BER High School, and it's not exactly the first time we've had this conversation, but it may be the first time we've had a national first place, correct? Second. Excuse me, second time in the winner's circle. Mr. Sherman, please come tell everybody what happened this past week.
Thank you, Dr. Rollins, members of the board. I just wanted to say first off that I wanted to thank you personally for continuing to provide an opportunity for students to learn through career and technical education. Over the course of the summer, we had 2 students that went to Louisville, Kentucky to compete in Skills USA as part of the national competition. And at the national competition, it's not just about creating videos, it's all these other classes, these core classes that are involved as well. It's reading and learning how to organize your thoughts and speaking and delivering pitches. And through this competition, they placed second. And then we found out just a couple weeks ago that there was a scoring error, and they retracted that, and they actually placed first in the nation. And it was pretty incredible to see what these students had accomplished.
How'd the weekend go?
Oh, the weekend went great. The students also, they traveled to St. Louis this past weekend to accept the Student Pillars of Excellence through the Natus Mid-America Emmys. HAR-BER High School walked away with 7 Emmys this year, and so they got to walk the red carpet and meet all the industry professionals, and it was pretty incredible for them. A great opportunity.
Yeah, great work, guys. Good.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, Coach, there he is. Our athletic director, Mr. Wayne Stellick.
Good evening, all. Mr. Jenks is going to join me down here. Be back. Even though I enjoy the competition on the field and on the court, in the class, in the gridiron, we also like the competition we have in the classroom. So we'd like to recognize Ashley Friend, our softball and tennis coach at Springdale High, with some exciting news about AAA results on academics. Coach Friend.
Hi there, I am Ashley Friend, and I'm the head coach of the boys and the girls team at Springdale High School for tennis. I took over the tennis team last summer, and I was blessed with a great group of kids. All the boys and girls who were on the tennis team all had above a 2.0 GPA, so I did not have to worry about their eligibility in the fall, which was a great thing. I knew that I had a hardworking group on the court, just how much they improved. But little did I know how hardworking they were in the classroom. I cannot take any credit but submitting some scores and adding them up. But the proof really came at the end of the semester. Our boys team finished the fall semester, so the actual semester that we're playing matches, with an overall GPA of 3.762. And they were named the 2016-17 Arkansas Academic State Champions for all tennis teams in the state of Arkansas.
Beautiful job. Great job.
We had a small team of 8, and out of those 8, 4 of them have graduated. Angel Lopez is currently attending Northwest Arkansas College in Bentonville. Austin Espejo and Hunter Jameson are attending Arkansas Tech University. And Jay Stewart is currently enlisted with the Army National Guard, so all our seniors are being very productive right now. I'm very proud of them. We also had Sebastian Frazier on the team. He's not with us tonight. We've got Mackenzie Thomas, Tujer Vang. All these boys are seniors. Tujer had a 4.167 for that last fall semester. And then Tony Kopak, not only did he finish the semester with a 4.571 GPA, he also finished top 6 in conference and competed at the state tournament. So we're very proud of all of them.
I think that's good.
Do you have any questions?
I don't know if I can ask a question smart enough to.
Do you want to see the banner?
Yes, that'd be great.
Did they have any comments that they would like to make to us?
Do you guys have anything to say?
That is great.
Nope.
Great
That's awesome.
job.
Good job,
My
guys.
goodness.
Dr.
Great.
Rollins, could we get a picture of
Oh, you bet.
Jinx and Selleck in there as well?
Now, Pete, where are you gonna put the banner?
We'll put it in the gym.
Okay.
Good job.
Can't wait. Dr. Rollins,
One more time. I didn't know that was possible.
That's like two of
I
my
believe
grade
6
points.
out of the 7 classes are on a 5-point scale, and the only one that's not was tennis.
Ah,
So,
so you brought him down.
yes.
I see.
Good job. Thank you, guys.
Good job.
You know, like the principal will give us Good job, buddy.
We are blessed with some brilliant students, aren't we?
What about their mom and dads? Who owns
Yeah, that's a
I
really
think there's
good
two
point.
parents right there.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
I always get wrapped up with the kids. I forget about the parents. So sorry about that.
Great job.
And he got his brains from you, right, Mike? He got his smarts from you, didn't he?
No, he got A in CPR.
Okay.
Oh, it's important too. So we also have some amazing employees, which you've gotten to see some of them tonight. But I would like to recognize Miss Michelle Donnell, and that last name might sound familiar. That is the wife of Mr. Damon Donnell. If you want to come up and join me for a minute. She is one of the district's speech pathologists. And we had this debate Monday morning if this was the case or not, but she was recently chosen to receive the Paula J. Gober Public Schools Distinguished Clinical Services Award in a public setting. And I did have to read that. It will be presented to her at the Arkansas Speech and Hearing Association, and the conference will be held in October. So she hasn't received her official award, but we think that this is the first award that Springdale has ever received of this kind, which is amazing.
It's cool.
Yeah. So she's a big deal. So I'd like for you to hear from her to talk about her lengthy title award, and maybe you can talk a little bit about what's going to happen in October.
As far as going in October, we're going down to our annual convention that we have. Our Speech Language Hearing Association has it every year, and so this is an award that they give away. And we have workshops and conferences and learn how to become better speech pathologists. And so we'll be going down there, and they'll give away the award that morning, and then we'll continue on to our workshops and keep learning. So, but I'm very humbled and honored to get this award. But I'd like to take the opportunity to recognize all of the speech language pathologists in our district. We have an amazing group of therapists, and I've been able to travel a lot this year and go to the different buildings and go in and see the actual services and that they're providing with these students. And someone said earlier, it's about relationships, and speech language pathologists are experts in relationships. So they work in a small group setting, they work with our students with speech language impairments, they help them be more successful in the classroom. So I just wanted to take that opportunity to recognize all of them, but I also want to thank Wendy Roarick over here. She's another amazing speech language pathologist we have in the district who nominated me for the award and didn't tell me about it. So that meant a lot to me. Yes, it is. And to thank our supervisors, I think Sherry Bales, Andy Ingram, Tara Harshaw, Petra Nelson, all the superintendents, Dr. Rollins, you guys for just sitting here watching you guys tonight, taking your time. I know you have families, I know you have jobs, but you've listened to all of us intently, asked lots of questions, and you're like our little cheerleaders. So I appreciate that you take the time to do that. So I'm amazed and very thankful to be a part of Springdale School District. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job.
Hutchinson and board and Dr. Rollins. It never ceases to amaze me how resourceful our teachers are. If they have a program, if they have an idea, if they see that they need resources for it, well, they write grants. And that's what we've got with our first person I'd like to introduce to you tonight. Ms. Cavett, would you come? I also want to acknowledge that, as you can see, Ms. Cavett has quite a reading section tonight. So, but I'm going to ask her to tell you about the grant and what she did to receive it and what comes next.
Thank you, Dr. Morledge. Thank you, Board, for inviting me here tonight. I appreciate you. It is a wonderful experience to be part of this school district, as you've heard tonight. And I have the privilege of being a gifted and talented teacher at Walker Elementary and at Hellstern Middle School. And as part of our model, we have the opportunity to provide type 1 enrichment to our opportunities to our students. And so when we do this, we have the opportunity to connect with our community and with members around the state that have specialties. And so I've connected with a lady named Paige Miller, and she is with Arkansas Energy Rocks. And so I have a profound interest in studying energy and, geology and geography and, just Arkansas, things in Arkansas with my students. We do a lot of economics. But Miss Miller has been a wonderful help to us for the past 3 years. When she comes into the classroom, she does hands-on learning with my students. And so when we are doing our type 3 activities, my students are, I encourage them to try to find something they're interested in, but I can kind of steer them in certain ways, and energy is one of them. And so she comes in, and she is always very complimentary of our students here in Springdale. It's not just Walker. Several of our GT teachers have invited her, and she sings our praises. She says over and over again, she tells me Springdale School students are engaged and they are so ready to hear this information. We're learning about, oil and gas industry and fracking and all these things, and the kids are always, excited to hear from her and to have that hands-on learning. And so she has been asked by the Arkansas Independent Producers and Royalty Owners Association to nominate a teacher to be the inaugural winner for the state of an educator who is providing, just education in energy. And she chose me as the inaugural winner. And so I was stunned and humbled, and that she would come to me, this elementary GT teacher. And like I said, it actually wasn't with a grant at all. It was just connecting. And through our program, we have this wonderful opportunity, and I'm so thankful for that, for our students. And it's just, it is a great experience for them. I have several of them that are wanting to go on, and they're students of Miss Berry's, and they're wanting to explore this even further. And so I am excited. September 28th, I will be accepting a $1,000 check to continue my work on energy in the classroom, and I'm excited about it. I'm not really sure what it's going to be about, but it comes with a $1,000 check, and I'm excited to expose my students to more of it. So, yes.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for inviting me.
Do you have family here tonight?
Her kiddos are
We
here.
always introduce the parents. Do you have family here tonight with you?
My 4-year-old Chase and my 11-year-old Leah.
And they did fantastic. I haven't heard a peep out of them. That's great.
And I also believe Miss Ryan is here and Mr. Smithy also. Thank you for being here. You've heard us talk a lot about Springdale Reads, and it is a growing project. We have, not only are we rolling out our reading program And I have to admit, I don't believe I've ever seen as much enthusiasm for a program as I have seen with our reading program. We're trying to build in all the supports and structures for that as we go through. And we started out with kindergarten through 5th grade. And then now we're beginning to roll that reading program into the middle schools. It takes an awful lot of professional development, what I call relentless professional development, to make that happen, because our teachers need and deserve a great deal of support for the work that they're doing, because this is not easy. It is hard work. We could not have done that without the help of Charlene Horner. Ms. Horner, would you come forward? At our back-to-school meeting, Ms. Horner spoke to all the teachers in the room. I have never seen anyone who got a standing ovation for talking about reading, but Ms. Horner did. And Dr. Rollins asked tonight if she could come and give you just a little snippet of that speech, and so you can understand and see what we're doing with Springdale Reads. Ms. Horner?
Thank you for inviting me here tonight and to be in front of you and Dr. Rollins. I appreciate that. As you know, when reforming anything, you need to approach the process by establishing a big vision, one that allows you to see what you want to accomplish and then put in place the people, the process, and the structure to provide a lasting infrastructure to support a big vision. Our big vision is to create a community of avid, skilled readers across our community. While the Springdale Reads Reading Committee has been working hard to increase awareness of this big vision across our community, our schools have been working very hard too. We are currently implementing a new reading model in grades kindergarten through 7th. The model is called Reading Workshop. The workshop approach to instruction is designed to support personalized learning. A one-size-fits-all approach does not match the realities of our schools or classrooms that we work in, nor does it produce the 21st century learner that is skilled, versatile, and engaged. The instruction that happens inside the workshop classroom at any given time is tailored to the student or the small group of students that are gathered around the teacher. The structures of workshop teaching calls for teachers to adapt a responsive stance to instruction. This is taking the cues from our children and planning the instruction that articulates next steps and goals for each student. Continual assessment undergirds this work on a daily basis in a workshop classroom. Ultimately, we will create the cultures of literacy across our district and our schools in pre-K through 12th. As we strive to create the culture we desire, we have utilized prominent research in the field of literacy. Don Murray and Richard Allington are both respected academic authors that have intensely researched and studied the essentials of literary success. Allington argues that readers need 3 conditions to thrive. 1, access to books they find fascinating. 2, protected time to read, and expert instruction. First, access to books kids find fascinating, or readers find fascinating. The research argues that just providing books to kids is not nearly enough. We must provide access to books our readers find fascinating. This confirms mentorship matters. We must understand our students well enough to know their interests and what they're willing to read. It makes sense. How will we know what is fascinating and interesting to our kids without talking to them? When we talk about books with our kids, we learn more about them. And this should not fall solely on the shoulders of the reading teacher. This is the responsibility of the entire school community. The second condition, Allington argues, is protected time to read. This means examining school schedules to make sure students are getting enough time to read or enough time to practice. Since January of last year, many of our schools have examined their schedules to see how long or how many minutes kids can have eyes on print each day this coming year. This was a very tough chore considering all the competing demands. The situation is similar to learning a sport or an instrument. The only way to get better at something is practice doing it. So if we truly value improvement in reading, then the condition of protected time to read will be reflected in our schedules that benefit our students, our teachers, our parents, and our community. So what is different in this new approach? In the past, we might have provided kids with long blocks of time with eyes on print, where students were inching their way through the same text at the same pace and answering the same questions. This one-size-fits-all approach might have been considered great instruction at one time, but it actually contradicts everything we know about effective teaching. Kids need massive amounts of practice with books that allow them to read a high volume of high success reading. Expert instruction. Above all, good teachers matter. Fortunately, our school board and our district leadership recognize the importance of developing teachers' abilities by providing professional development and collaborative cultures where teachers are engaged in a persistent cycle of teaching, observing the results of the teaching and then responding thoughtfully to what they see. In grades kindergarten through 7th, we'll be implementing the reading workshop model, leaning on the reading units of study that is authored by Lucy Calkins and her colleagues from Columbia University. This project is a research and staff development organization that has helped teachers and districts across the globe for more than 30 years, providing curricular support and professional development. The people, the process, and the structures are building reform into our school's infrastructure is being done in our district today. The work ahead is going to be hard, and during times of change, there's nowhere more important than being part of a community of colleagues working together on something that feels meaningful. This initiative is not business as usual. This initiative, it will lift the level of our professional learning communities, invigorate and revitalize our schools, help our teachers develop stronger teaching methods, and create new and more powerful relationships between teachers and kids and staff as a whole that are found in high agency environments. We can do this. We can achieve this vision. Springdale will become a community of readers. We will need to remind ourselves often this initiative is about the kids. This initiative is going to build on our teachers and our school's strengths. This initiative is not an experiment or a pilot program, and this initiative requires a long-term commitment. And last, we are all committed to this initiative. I look forward to working with you to fulfill our vision. Springdale Reads. All right. Any questions?
Good luck.
Yeah. Thank you.
It would be nice to have a copy of that if she would share.
Oh, okay. Ms. Horner, if you will send me a copy of that, and I'll share it with Dr. Rollins, and he can send it out through the school board. Okay. All right, thank you. We have so many special people in our school district, and we've seen several of them tonight. And not too long ago, it seems like not too long ago to me, we added to our staff Melody Morgan. Ms. Morgan, would you come up? Ms. Morgan has taught us all so much about data, how to look at data, how to think about data, analyze data, and she said, you know, sometimes we don't even have all the data that we need, or we don't have the right data. So she's taught us all so very much. And recently, I opened up my Sunday paper, and I looked at the editorial section, and right there was an editorial, or a letter to the editor from our very own Melody Morgan. And I've asked her if she will tell you a little bit about that, but we couldn't be more proud of Mel.
So I understand in your packet, you had a copy of that in case you didn't see it. And let me just tell you what this stems from. I don't sit down and write letters to the editor very often. There's some passion behind that, and in the work that I did that led me to Springdale when I was at the department, one of the things that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me was how we gave summative exams to young kiddos in 1st and 2nd grade and let the year elapse before we got feedback. So all I did was just use some common sense and approach the state board in June of 14 and ask them to consider allowing us to form a task force to review that, review the research, and see if there was a better use of taxpayer dollars that would provide us opportunities for earlier intervention and early literacy intervening with our students in the state. So you know how slow things move sometime at that level. I am now at Springdale. I was so proud to come in August of 14 and see that Springdale wasn't waiting for the state. They were ahead of the curve, and they were already using formative assessment to personalize learning for each and every child. So that's really the gist of where this passion came from, was that coming to Springdale was an awesome experience, and getting to see how we use data throughout the year to determine what needs our children have. We have a very at-risk population. You can imagine they come to us not only possibly with reading deficits, but with language deficits. So being able to assess them early on in kindergarten, first and second grade, allows us to take advantage of the most important time in a child's career when they're developing their ability to read. You know, they learn to read in the early grades, and then they read to learn after grade 3. So it's very, very important that those gaps that are identified in literacy in the early years get addressed in the early years, so that they're not allowed to widen and grow as the child progresses onward. Any questions? Now for the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I did it, Missy. Where did I put?
You break it.
No, I don't think I broke it. Hope not.
There it is.
So this year, I supplied you with our ACCEPT plans for each school. And that just stands for an Arkansas Consolidated School Improvement Plan. That's all that is. It's a strategic plan about what each school needs to do to get better, with the ultimate goal of improving student achievement outcomes. That's the ultimate goal. And so we've streamlined it and helped focus that work at the district level. Through our instructional management plan, we have chosen indicators in our tool that we use for school improvement planning. And those indicators, here are the 3 indicators that we are focusing on this year, as we did last year, because we need to continue to develop them out in various stages in each of our buildings. The first indicator is, these are ongoing indicators, by the way. They don't ever end. This is how you have school every year. So these were just indicators that we were going to develop strategic plans on in each school. The principal monitors curriculum and classroom instruction regularly. Each school would write out a plan on how they develop specific tasks and ownership of those tasks, and goals and timelines, and how they would actually review whether or not the task was accomplishing the goal. So each year they reflect on the previous year's work. They look at student achievement data. They look at exemplars within our own district of what's working. And they look back to determine, is there a task I need to retire? Is there a task I need to add? Is there a task I need to amend and extend in order to push the needle forward on student achievement? The second indicator is the leadership team in each school looks regularly at school performance data and classroom observation data, and uses that data to make informed decision about school improvement and what professional development needs there are in that building, because it may look different in one building than another. And the last one is all personnel work effectively and equitably with culturally, linguistically, and economically diverse students. And we do that, but we hadn't built that out necessarily, and that one has been the most eye-opening indicator for us to work on, is we're being able to share things that are working in other buildings that are working. And this year was just a really good opportunity to see how that had worked, growing that parental engagement involvement piece. So those are in your board packet. I condensed them down to one page because last year I broke the printer. Didn't we, Miss Cynthia? So I've condensed them down, but they are all available in electronic form for you to access if you want to go deeper into them. I just try to give you a condensed version, but they're very personalized to each school. Any questions about that? Okay, and the last item I have is, just like we do every year, we have a statement of assurances that we have to have action on by the board to make sure that you approve and record in minutes the fact that you have seen these and that you agree to these. and Dr. Rollins will then sign them and we'll submit them. That was in your board packet as well. So a little bit different with ESSA coming forward. They actually shortened it a little. But it basically says that we as a district, with you as the parent at the top, agree to use and spend all of our financial revenue from federal in accordance with law. That's what it says. We're going to be compliant on how we spend our federal dollars and make sure that they're going where they need to be and they're accounted for in the proper methods. That's it.
So we need action on that
We
item,
do.
correct?
Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
Okay. Board, does everybody understand what she's asking for us to do? If not, please ask her the questions, because I am not versed enough to give
Just
you any
need a
answers.
motion to approve and record in the minutes that you approve the statement of assurances as presented to you.
I'll make that motion. She said it so nicely.
Yeah. Second. All right, I have a
Thank
motion
you.
by Mrs. McFetrich, a second by Mr. Owenby to accept the statement of assurances as presented. Is there any further discussion about that? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Any
Thank you.
opposed to that? There you go, Ms. Morgan.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you, board.
Thank you, Gabrielle.
Good afternoon, or evening, I guess. We've passed afternoon, haven't we? I have the privilege this year of participating in Leadership Springdale. We've just started. We had an orientation session last month, and then this week is our first full-day session. Part of the requirements of that program are attending various meetings in the community, and so we have a couple of Leadership Springdale classmates of mine here, and I want to ask them to stand up. Okay, we have Tracy Shepard, she works for Rockline, and Taylor Samples, he works in the city attorney's office. So throughout this year, you'll have various attendees here, and I'll be happy to introduce them as they're here. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all being here.
Go ahead and talk about your student trips.
Sure. In your packet, you'll see that there are 10 requests for out-of-district transfers. All of those are coming into the district. Various school districts, including Fayetteville, Huntsville, Eureka Springs, Green Forest, and Farmington. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Otherwise, I'd ask that you approve those students coming into our district.
Are these all different families, or?
Yes, these are actually all different families this month.
Page 115. Is there a driving force, or is it just
I don't
different-
know.
lots of different-
This process is actually just a paperwork that the district they're coming from sends to us.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll enclose a cover letter that says the students are, going to the School of Innovation, or it's more convenient for a parent's work. Sometimes it's just a piece of paper. When they're coming in, we don't ask a lot of questions
Right.
except, come on in, where do you want to enroll?
Right.
So I don't have a lot of information on the driving force.
I understand the Fayetteville and the Huntsville, and the Farmington, but Green Forest and Eureka Springs, that's a hike,
Yes, sir.
so.
And it may be that they're participating in virtual options through SOI. I don't have that
Okay.
information, but that would be a possibility for some of the more distant transfers.
Well, board, we will need a motion to accept these transfers, if you want to do that.
I make a motion that we accept the out-of-district transfers as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Mrs. Cook, a second by Mrs. McFetrich to accept the transfers as presented. Is there any further discussion about that? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? All right,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Hey, Kendra, I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
You are presenting at this National Business Institute.
I am.
Do we get any training hours for that if we attend it?
I don't know that it's,
'Cause it's education law, right?
it is. I don't know. I can find out if they've partnered with ASBA on that, to where you would get training hours, and I will let you know.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Board, let me help just a little bit. Mr. Hayes and I will partner, and just to focus on property acquisition to help us in this growing school district, let me address item 3 under Mr. Hayes' section, and then I'll ask him to present a resolution that might allow that to go forward if you're comfortable with it. During the last year, we've been very focused as an administrative team on trying to bring appropriate space for our support personnel to work, and you're very aware of that. We've talked about it so many times. Our purchase of Ozark Film and Video was a great acquisition for the district. That allowed us to move our special education team from Washington School out to the Ozark Film and Video setting. In addition to that, educational psychologist, our TV productions program, and the staff that supports the athletic director have all been housed there, and that facility is virtually at capacity. And Ms. McFettridge, thank you so much for helping us with that. It's really been a great relief system for our team. You know, when we started this venture, I reported to you that we had over 80 staff assigned to Washington School. And in that aging facility that needs a lot of attention, we needed some relief there. So that was an initial first step. During the last 6 months or so, we worked diligently to try to acquire space in the center of the city. We looked at HAR-BER Medical Plaza, which has been available, located along Highway 71B. Our initial efforts to acquire that facility were not successful. So as a second step, we were able to acquire the space, the facility that's on the campus of Sonora Elementary, Sonora Middle, which was a wonderful buy for the district and provided us an opportunity to continue to, again, relieve the overcrowding and get our support staff in more appropriate facilities. After we had acquired that facility, the person who was the owner of the HAR-BER Medical Plaza came back and said that he had reconsidered, he knew the needs of the district, he wanted to be a partner with us, and that he would make that facility available to us. So we then began to look at options that we had perhaps to use both facilities. Obviously, a location here in the center of town is very appealing, and especially if the facility was designed really to serve the medical community. Coordinated school health, our nursing component, our social worker component, and others that were still housed at Washington would be ideally suited for this space. This is a space of approximately 9,000 square feet. It sits on about 0.8 of an acre. We were able to buy the property at the end of lengthy negotiation for about 83% of the appraised value of the property. So I think it was it is an excellent opportunity for us. I think that opportunity is something we should not pass on because the needs of this growing school district are just enormous. So my request of you tonight, and Mr. Hayes in just a moment will present the resolution, would be for us to come back to the HAR-BER Medical Facility to purchase that space, to look at relocating those support services that I've mentioned to the HAR-BER Medical. And here's a real important consideration, one that needs a little more study than I can give you in the short period of time that we've had to react to this proposal. Locating support services in the center of the city certainly is very appealing. The approximately 9,000 square feet of floor space in this facility perhaps will allow us to relocate ELL as well. Now, that, again, would be it'd be a good utilization of space. It'd be full, but that's something I'd like a little bit more time to think about. And again, whether we do that this year or not needs more study, but the opportunity exists to relocate coordinated school health, nursing program, ELL, to this facility, which is much superior to what we have now. Here's a really important piece. That then allows us to take the time that's needed with minimal and perhaps zero staff in Washington to refurnish that in such a way that it can be a quality space again. That's something that is really appealing to me. If we make this move to acquire this facility and take care of our crowding in terms of support personnel at Washington School with these two acquisitions, Ozark Film and Video, and now the Har-BER Medical, what then will we do with the Sonora complex? I've told you repeatedly that we're serving about almost 1,400 by the time the year's over, pre-K kids. We still, with the pre-K center here, the pre-K center at Knapp Elementary, we still have 43 classrooms with pre-K satellited out in the district. I would really like the opportunity now, if we make this move, we will look at that Sonora facility in terms of creating a pre-K center on the east side of town to accommodate those families that are having to move a great distance. To me, that is a win-win for everybody, and purchasing really 3 facilities well below the appraised price that gives us long-term growth in the future. 43, if we put 10 pre-K classrooms in Sonora, that's about 200 kids. You see that we'll still have 33 plus satellited out across the district. As we look at existing facilities and perhaps repurposing some of those, at least one of those facilities in the future, that would virtually take care of our pre-K enrollment, freeing up classrooms in multiple schools across the district. So these are pretty dramatic moves. We're in a financial position to do that. I think it's a very sound recommendation for us to acquire this space, make the moves that I've suggested, focus on a pre-K center at Sonora East, and then perhaps in the future we'll look at repurposing some of our aging facilities.
So how detailed of a project would it be to take this Sonora facility and transform it into pre-K?
Right now, it's virtually an open space facility.
It's a shell type building.
That's exactly right.
Right.
There's a really nice entrance, nice kitchen area, et cetera. But by and large, it is an open space facility. But I don't think it will be an expensive venture to get that ready. But we need.
And it's open and available.
Yes.
Meaning.
Yes.
It's already got the structures there.
And it is from all information we have, it is a very good facility. It's a facility that can serve us well long term.
So is the kitchen usable for the school then? I mean, would they be able to make?
It is not, quote, a typical school kitchen, but from the standpoint of serving a small population, I think it'd be phenomenal.
That'd be great.
So that's kind of the way this thought process is coming together. And with that idea, if that seems reasonable to you, at least from a planning perspective, I'd like for Mr. Hayes to take you through a motion to purchase the Har-BER Medical.
Very simply, we're asking the board to adopt a resolution to enter into a contract with Francis E. McEvoy Revocable Trust to purchase the Har-BER Medical Plaza building and land located at 307 South Thompson Street here in Springdale.
Board, does anybody have any more questions for Kelly or for Dr. Rollins before we move forward?
I'd like to make the motion that we approve this real estate contract with the Francis E. McEvoy Revocable Trust.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Fettridge, a second by Mr. Owenby to acquire the land that we've been talking about and the building. Is there any further discussion? Speak now, forever hold your peace. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I think that'll be a good space for us.
Thank you.
I have not gone through.
I have a few more items for you this evening, Board. The first one is the monthly update on the building projects. You'll see that we did add both the Tyson Media and the Walker Media Centers. We have made initial payments on those. I anticipate, or I will be making, the district will be making the Children's NAP final payout in September. So it will be tied up with the bow next month. It's going to be probably right on the money of what we have.
No
left.
extra money,
So,
huh? Oh, well.
I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Board, the next item that I have for you is the 2017-18 budget. Let me get it in front of me.
Page 118.
Wow. Oh, no, here it is. Okay. I thought, whew, I didn't bring it. Okay. Let me walk you through this for just a moment here. Page 2 of this presentation is just a final recap of 2016-17, just showing the revenue and expenditures for last school year. Then on page 3, this is the proposed, I guess, financial statement, income statement, if you will. It shows our balance forward of $20,482,867, projected revenue of $197,560,000, projected expenditures of $199,717, and a projected ending balance of $18,325,521. Now, that does show our ending balance going down slightly. I do not anticipate that being the case. This is obviously a proposed budget, so we will not be expending everything that's there, and hopefully my revenue will come in higher than expected, so I'm not at all concerned with that. The following page is the revenue comparison. It just kind of shows you a breakdown. As we have told the board repeatedly, the increase in revenue at the state level is minimal. We do have a slight increase in local property taxes, the assessment there, so that will bring in some additional revenue. I have not budgeted for student growth, as is the tradition here in Springdale. I can tell you that we are up in our enrollment this year, around 375 students the last time I checked, and so there will be some student growth money added or given to our district this year. You can see towards the bottom of that the NSL funding. We are in the second year of the transition for the higher level of funding, so there is another year of significant increase there. So on the miscellaneous state revenue, there's a pretty good drop there. That's because in that category are one-time grants and one-time things that you never know if they're going to repeat or not. I anticipate our number being higher, but I don't want to count on it for sure. So, any questions on revenue? Okay, if not, we could go on to the next page, which is our expenditure comparison. It shows the teacher salary fund going up overall 4%. As you recall, our steps cost around $2 million or so. And then we have had to add additional positions in order to staff for the growth. So I think 4% is a very reasonable amount to increase in our teacher salary. In our operating fund, it is a little higher there. Once again, this is a budget. I don't anticipate expending every dollar in every category, so I'm a little ambitious there, so the numbers will come in slightly lower. And then on our debt service fund, as you recall, our payment had been being around $12 million annually due to our bonded debt refunding. It dropped to $6 million last year, and it will go up about halfway this year to $9.5 million, and then another year we'll have another year at about that same amount, $9.5 million, before we return to our about $12 million. So there will be another $2 million in savings this year on the bonded debt refunding that we will transfer to our building fund, and then that will be followed by one final year for a total of $10 million that we will have transferred due to the bond refunding over a 3-year period. Any questions for me on the expenditure page?
Just the total of it, if you added all those together, that's where you come up with that 10%.
Yes. That's correct.
Just a budgeted.
I'm sorry?
Just budgeted,
Yes,
padded.
little, yeah. Yes. Any other questions on that page? The final page I have for you this evening is just a recap of the federal grants that we have in place. A couple of these, 21st Century, it is my understanding that will not be reoccurring after this year. And of course, this is the last year for the Race to the Top grant. And then you see the others that we have listed there. Those are all standard. Well, let me point out the HQPP and CCDF. I love all these acronyms, and I know you do too. Those are both pre-K federal dollars for pre-K, our pre-K program. And so we have to hope that those funds are there and available in the future. We have no reason to believe they won't be, but that does support a majority of our pre-K funding. And then you'll see our food service summary at the bottom there. Do you have any questions that I could answer?
So do we need to do a separate motion for the budget?
Please.
Before we do
Yes.
the motion for last month's stuff?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Make a motion, we approve the proposed 2017-18 budget presented as such.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Owenby, a second by Mrs. Cook to approve the proposed 2017-18 budget for the upcoming year. Is there any further discussion? Any other questions by anybody? If not, all those in favor of approving that, please say aye. Any opposed? There you go.
Thank you. The final item I have for you this evening is the August financial report. Just a couple of things. If you noticed on the revenue summary page, our percent collected to date is substantially ahead of where we were this time last year, and that's because the state has changed the way they are funding our state foundation funding, which is our major funding category from the state. They've always paid us in 11 installments, and this year they're doing 12. So we got a July and August, but they both came in August this time. So that's putting significantly ahead of where we were this time last year. It's just a timing change. They're just getting the money out to us a little earlier. And then on the expenditure side, you can see that we are ahead percentage-wise of where we were this time last year, so all is good. The only other thing I wanted to mention, I knew there was something else. On the revenue report, you'll see some brackets, and you think, well, around some numbers, and you think, well, how can you have a negative revenue? Well, as you know, a number of our revenue items we have to pull back into the prior year, and then in the current year, I have to back them back out. It's just a timing thing with accounting.
An accounting thing?
Yes. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, that's why we have you there to do that.
I move to approve the financials as presented.
All right, I have a motion by Mrs. McFettridge and a second by Mrs. Cook to approve the monthly financials as presented. Is there any further discussion about that? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we got one more quick thing we need to talk about before we let the Education Association come. Until Dr. Rollins gets down here.
Ms. Graham, would you
Well,
like to come forward?
We got to discuss next month's meeting. real quick.
Oh, okay, give us just a second.
Just a second.
And we'll be right with you.
Okay, next month, Dr. Rollins is going to be, where are you going to be?
In Arizona,
In
at
Arizona.
the ELL, National ELL Conference.
Okay, the second Tuesday of next month, which should be our meeting, Dr. Rollins will be in Arizona at a conference. We were originally going to move our meeting to the next week. Oh, I'm going to be out of town. So I was going to see if the 24th would work for everybody, where we could do the meeting on the 24th, which would be the fourth week
That's right, there's 5.
There's 5 Tuesdays in October, so it'll be the 4th Tuesday of October. Is that doable for everybody here?
Can't answer that.
As far as you know?
As far as I know.
Okay.
And then we would reorganize the board at that meeting.
Yes, and that's why I want to be here for that meeting.
Gotcha.
So,
Because
Well,
we reorganize our board. that way.
officers and stuff will be next week, or next month. So, will that work for you, Michelle? Jeff's already told me that it would work for him. Mike he said he'll be out of town, but.
So we believe that's the fourth
Six out of seven.
Tuesday.
Yeah, 4th Tuesday.
October
All right,
24th.
so it's official. 4th Tuesday of next month will be our board meeting. So we'll go about a month and a half before we meet again.
But I'll write you every day.
I'm sure you will. Or Cynthia will.
Times 4, right?
All right, now, it's all yours.
Don, thank you for coming tonight. It's good to see you.
Is this your first time?
So we apologize for Corey Tucker's absence. She had a family emergency. So Springdale Education Association had a huge back-to-school bash. We wanted to thank the administrators that showed up, stopped by. We had Representative Ledding and De La Rosa there, and we're continuing to build good relationships with them. And we have a surprise service project with Parson Hills that we're working on, and we'll be telling you about it. It's a surprise for right now, but we'll share pictures.
Oh, a teaser.
Yeah.
Okay.
We like to keep the suspense, right? And we're also working on forming a database for teachers to help students get active and moving in the classrooms. So that's right now what we're working on.
Very good, very good. Not going to tip your hand on the surprise? That it is a surprise.
Yeah, it's a surprise. Actually, I don't even know about it, so surprise. Anyway, thank you.
Well, we appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you all
Thank
being
you.
here. Thank you.
Is there anything else, Dr. Rollins?
I believe that concludes our agenda.
Well, I would officially say we are adjourned.
Wow.
It's still sort of kind of daylight. That's better than we've done lately.